Yo, boys and girls, welcome to the video. This is Josh or Milky, and welcome to the first video of this Torchlight season. I thought I'd do a quick video to go over what I'm going to be Leaguestar. And a few people have asked me, God knows why you want to play what I want to play, but hey, we are here today. As you can see, I'm actually in the game, and I'm going to show you what I've been cooking up. We are going to be playing the Rehan train build. That is what I want to play. I enjoyed it so much last league. Revamped, ready to go. So this is just leveling right now, but I found a way to make it somewhat decent during leveling. As you can see, we're just kind of popping off, and I'm using a quest reward axe. So we're not really all that juiced up, but we can still pop off. We're killing everything. Now, obviously, when you're leveling with Savage Charge, it's not the best, because if you're not berserking, your burst isn't going to proc. So it kind of stinks all that time that you spend with your berserk down, and it's kind of hard to actually fix that. Kind of hard to fix that prior to getting some like relics and memories and all that stuff, all your additional hero traits later on, or even just having access to bloodthirsty slaughter. As you can see, the single target when we don't have berserk is kind of trash, but we'll take him down. It's all good. There we go, he's down. Obviously you can do it as leveling, but the first thing I'm going to mention is there is a max roll leveling guide for Rehan. It is Flame Slash probably the superior leveling skill, but if you absolutely want to level as, you know, train Rehan, you can do it. Now the difference this season is you can go sacrifice. Now normally the additional attack speed does absolutely nothing for you, right? Your Savage Charge isn't the thing doing damage, it's mainly your burst, and burst doesn't care about your attack speed. But now sacrifice actually scales your damage. So this is one of the very few cases where the change to sacrifice is kind of welcome, right? It means we can go tenacity stacking early on, and then later we'll change into the more conventional Fizz setup, or even an endgame setup that I've been working on that should be doing a lot more damage than the build I released last season. So this is an option for leveling. You basically just need to do exactly what I did in the Gemma leveling guide, except you're going to run Savage Charge as well. You can reserve all your mana down to basically nothing because you reduce your mana cost so much. The only thing you need to be careful to do is make sure you're using cost conversion on your Scorch. So here are all the links. It's pretty straightforward. Obviously, Savage Charge, you can put basically whatever you want here. Added fire damage is just for a bit more damage, but you don't even need it. Savage Charge isn't really the thing doing the damage, it's the burst. The burst is, of course, our hero trait. Where is it? Right here, burst. Trigger, when triggered, deal 550% weapon damage. So getting a weapon with decent damage is going to be essential. And then just use the two highest multipliers we've got. For now, that's Precision Strike and Steamroll. Now, later on, when you've got enough crit, this is going to be crit damage. It did get slightly nerfed, but it's still very, very good. Or in another variation of the build, you can use something like Ailment Termination. So that's in the game. Let's come out of the game. Let's actually head on over to... We're actually going to come to the builders. So now, first of all, if you want to follow the leveling guide, this will take you all the way up to level 80 if your heart desires to go that far. If not, you can grab yourself, you know, your trusty two-handed sword, all the normal suspects, get yourself up to level 55, and then respec into whatever Rehan build you wish to play. The leveling guides are exactly that. They're leveling guides. They're not like League Starter endgame builds. They're leveling guides. They're going to get you to where you need to be. And for now, unfortunately, we don't have the resources to give you the endgame guides. The hero ranking is going to be your best friend until we manage to cook up some builders to share. So for now, if you need this for leveling, it's going to be there. I'm sorry if that's disappointing to anyone, but we just can't keep up, basically, with how much they change. Right, so leveling. When you're doing Chapter 1 in this game, most heroes have a guaranteed drop from the Dwarven King. One of them being Ominous Guillotine for Rehan. You can see here, this gives us a decent amount of damage and also Sacrifice. So Sacrifice is what we mentioned earlier. Essentially, it's that thing that's going to turn your Tenacity Blessings into more damage, more skill area. But when you get it here, you have to wait until you're level 38. However, killing the Dwarven King at level 10 means you'll gain access to Sacrifice at level 10, when you will also gain access to Tenacity. So you can have 5 Tenacity Blessings, you can have Sacrifice, which is going to be 35% additional damage, 40% additional skill radius, and I literally used that all the way up to level 38 until I could actually equip Sacrifice. Then you can change into a better weapon, and you're on your way. You are on your merry way. You are going to cruise through the game. The only levels for this build that are going to suck are probably like the first 5. Like, this melee leveling sucks until you get like a few points, maybe a decent weapon. But as soon as you get a decent weapon, you are absolutely flying. So that's the, like, really, really beginner tree. Obviously, there's not really anything here at all. This is just what you do before you get to Sacrifice. Then we're going to talk about some end game options when you get to that level 80. Level 80 is so important for a burst-based build because it turns us into that cast-on crit build. So when you're traveling through with your Savage Rush, every time you crit, you're going to trigger burst. Now, this actually got buffed. So you can see here it says trigger burst with a cooldown of 0.4 seconds. Well, in the patch, if we come here, it's now trigger burst every 0.3 seconds, which is essentially 33% more triggers or 33% more damage, if you choose to see it that way. And they also buffed a few other things for Rehan. You now deal 24% additional melee damage while berserking, and you also deal more damage when you crit. Instead of Frenzy Fury is what it is now, you get a slight amount of crit damage. Instead of that, you're just going to get 1% additional damage when you deal a crit when you are raging. So very, very good. The problem is Frenzy Furious actually requires us to have some form of rage sustain, and that doesn't really happen until you either get a relic with rage on hit. You can get 2 of these, you can get memories with rage on hit. These obviously aren't going to be that accessible early on. And the next thing you can do is actually use Bloodthirsty. What is it called now? They changed the name. They didn't like the names of them, right? What's it called now? Let me find it. I do apologize. Recklessness. That's the one. Sorry I made you wait. Recklessness. It consumes your life when you use a supported skill, so we're going to need to get some good amount of regain to compensate for that, which is more than doable. And what that means is we can actually use Righteous Fury. This is something I spoke about in the video last league, and then you will generate rage as you consume life. So you're going to have much higher berserk uptime before you get these relics and memories to sustain your rage. Then everything else is pretty normal. Tunnel vision, obviously tons more damage for your burst. And in this version, you're going to want to respec away from the sacrifice and God of Might setup into the physical and God of War setup that you can see here. We've got things like brutality. Cohesion is actually really good. We're going to talk about that one later. We've got fervor. One of the best things about this guild is we literally get fervor at level 20 if we're to go this route. Obviously, you're going to get it later if you're respecing. Blunt, you just completely ignore the only way enemies can deal with your damage, armor, right? You're only doing physical damage. Hair trigger, this used to be called Flash of Brilliance, that's me showing my age. Hair trigger, additional damage when you trigger skills, very, very good. And then the new and improved Warlock, it isn't updated on the build yet. Hopefully we get that before the league launches. But this is now like 35% CDR, but you have 10% reduced attack and cast speed. The attack and cast speed is whatever. You only want to be attacking enough times to hit your trigger rate for burst, which isn't hard to do. You need like 3 attacks per second. That's pretty easy to hit, right? So easy peasy. We get more CDR. This is actually kind of a buff for Rehan, so very nice. Off the beaten track is obviously really good as well. We're going to get all these levels to our skill gems as we get more energy. It's just going to add up. Also, extra levels to our burst skill gems is going to be more damage. All adds up to be very nice. Now, legendaries. Very essential legendaries early on, I would say, are Vortex Heart. This is just 40% more damage. Obviously, you want that. Who doesn't want 40% more damage? I know I do. Then we have gloves. If you've got acuteness imbue, you've got a chance to bleed, and that means you're going to explode enemies on death. So, very, very strong. Sky Devourer Strength Armor is just a very good generic armor. You get radius, area damage, resistance, stats, life, all things that this build absolutely loves. So, very happy to see that. Desire of Survival, regen while moving. Well, if we're consuming life for our Bloodthirsty Slaughter, then how about we get some of that back with regen? So definitely one to look out for. Very low item level. Something to put you on until you get your, better end game items. And then a combination that you can actually use once you hit 80, which we can make it very easy to hit 100% crit, is Incorrect Arbitration, which has a huge amount of crit. I think this has 430 base crit, and then you get like 2000% crit rating. So I don't know, what does that go up to? Like a minimum 4,300 crit rating to like 8,000. Either way, you're going to be crit capped, right? And then to make up for this trauma that you're going to inflict on yourself, you can actually use the Dragon Scale boots, which make you immune to trauma. So yeah, you're using a weak pair of boots, but this could be a really budget method early on to reach crit cap, and then you're going to be able to spec into other things basically before you get a lot of crit on the rest of your gear, or you get a good weapon. Definitely something to look out for. As for skills, we've got like vulnerability. Instead of using a curse, they've made it now so that you can only have one active skill linked to a trigger skill. So we're going to have to play our curse in our main links. That's perfectly fine. And I can't actually sock it on here. There's an issue with the builder. but it would be some kind of defensive skill, maybe like injury buffer or protective field if we can fit in a lightning golem. We'll see what happens. This isn't final by any means. I just kind of want to share what the idea is, but obviously I'm going to be playing so much on day one. These will be updated probably by the time you guys need it. And then finally, the like juicer endgame version is you know, I've seen this version in other places doing, you know, tens of billions of damage. So could be very good. The combination is basically Starlit Body, which gives you a huge amount of additional damage. So like 1,000% increased damage. Also Determined gives you a cheat death. And if you combine this with Tide of Sticks, which means non-full life is always considered full life, every time you drop below 95% HP and then back above that, sorry, you will gain a stack of Impassion. So you're going to have a very high uptime on that 100%, on that 1,000%, sorry, I can't speak today, 1,000% increased damage. Wings of Light are very good. Getting Shock is actually important for how we're going to scale our damage later on. Intimidate also gives additional damage because we've got the enemies under so many control effects. Vortex Heart, again, just so important for this build. And then Thunderbone is actually a really, really high DPS weapon. It doesn't reflect here because the mods don't actually apply to the implicit on the builder, but this is very, very high, and the shock is not meaningless. And that is because of a little talent we've got called Dirty Tricks. So we're going to be applying all of the ailments to the enemies. This is done with like Blind. We've got Wilt here. We've got Ignite. We're going to have Bleed from Acuteness Imbue. We've got Shock. We've got Intimidate. We're going to get a lot of additional effects on the target. So we're going to scale our damage much higher. What this does mean, however, is we can't use Brutality. Otherwise, we can't ignite enemies because they can't take fire damage. We can't wilt them because they can't take erosion damage. Actually, they can take erosion damage, but they can't take like fire damage, so we can't ignite them. So instead, we're going to take Cohesion, which gives 100% additional crit strike range for the next main skill every 2 seconds. So my understanding of this is, if you're using it with a channel skill, it should snapshot, right? Not 100% sure, definitely need to test it, but I have seen people using this exact combination and discussing this, and it does seem like it could definitely do that, so we'll see. And then in this situation, instead of using the crit rating, hang on, let me just get you back to this. We need, oh, this is what I did, need to level up here. Okay, we get our supports. You would then want to use crit damage, and where is it? Ailment Termination. And the reason you want to use Ailment Termination is the supported skill deals 10.6 additional damage per type of ailment on the enemy. Well, we've just discussed we have like 5 or 6 ailments, so this is a huge more multiplier to our burst damage. So this is an option for endgame. Obviously, this will be more filled out as I learn more or the builder gets updated. But think of this as a video, just what I'm going to do. This isn't like the best build in the world. It's just that I really like the train build, and I know other people like to play it too. So there you go. There it is. I will see you in Torchlight SS2 tonight. If you're watching this as it comes out, if not, if you're watching this in the future, you probably want to look ahead in the videos because I've probably got a better version of this build up there already for you. I'll see you next time, guys. Bye bye.